In the cold silence of Sector 19, a single human ship floated among ancient debris. The ship was old, patched with spare parts, and held together more by hope than metal. Its pilot, Rin, was a lone scavenger, hunting old tech in forgotten parts. Of the galaxy, he wasn't rich, he wasn't famous, and he certainly wasn't brave, but he had a nose for finding things that others missed. His scanner blinked once, then twice. Rin leaned forward, his eyes narrowing. A strange signal pulsed. Through the dark slow, steady, and unlike anything he had seen before, it came from deep inside an asteroid cluster, a place ships usually avoided. Looks like old Earth code. Rin muttered, adjusting his course. His ship groaned as it pushed through drifting rocks. He followed the signal, and it got stronger. Not noise, not random, but a clear pulse like a heartbeat. Who's out there? Rin whispered, though no one answered. Then he saw it. Buried under frozen debris and asteroid ice was a shape massive, sharp-edged, and terrifying. His lights revealed cold metal plating, still untouched by rust. Symbols marked the hull in old Earth's language, barely visible under layers of frost. He wiped the screen and read it out loud. Voice shaking, HSS Vindicator. He had heard that name before, in stories whispered in dark bars and war museums. The Vindicator was not just a ship. It was the ship the last human super warship. It vanished 200 years ago during the Orion Uprising. Some said it was destroyed, others said it fled. But no one had ever found it, until now. Rin's hands trembled as he steered closer. The hull was huge, like a mountain floating in space. Weapons ports lined the sides, silent but deadly looking. He landed his small ship near what looked like an old docking bay. As he stepped out, his boots crunched on frozen metal. I must be dreaming, he said, breath misting in the cold. The entrance opened with a loud hiss, as if the ship had been waiting inside. Emergency lights flickered to life, casting long shadows. He walked slowly, heart pounding, surrounded by silence and ghostly echoes. Then he reached the command bridge. Dust floated in the air. Thick and untouched for centuries. He touched a panel, it buzzed softly. Then a voice echoed through the room. Female and calm. User detected. Scanning. Species, human. Rin froze. Mouth open. The voice continued. Access granted. Welcome aboard, Captain. Rin looked around, confused. Captain. No. I'm just a scavenger. But the ship didn't care, it had found a human. And that was enough. The screens blinked on, maps and systems flickering to life. This is a I-Core Valkyr, the voice said. Status, damaged, recovering. Systems reactivating. Rin sat down, still in shock. Where have you been? He asked. Hidden Valkyr replied, as ordered. Outside, far across space. Other scanners began picking up the old Earth signal. Alien eyes turned toward the frozen corner of the galaxy. Ships changed course. Messages flew between governments because they too knew the name Vindicator, and if it was waking up, it could only mean one thing: trouble. Rin looked out from the bridge at the blackness beyond the glass. He didn't know what he had just brought back to life, but deep inside, he felt that this wasn't just another wreck. This was history, power, and warning. And now, the galaxy would hear it. Rin stood on the cold bridge of the massive warship, heart still pounding in his chest. The screens around him glowed softly, flickering like they were waking from a long sleep. The name Valkyr echoed in his mind, the AI that had just spoken. He had only read about Ship A is in history logs, never met one, never dreamed of waking one. And now, here he was, sitting in the command chair of the most feared warship in human history. This is a I-Core Valkyr, the voice said again, calm and firm. Human presence confirmed. Beginning restoration protocol. Rin blinked. Restoration. What does that mean? The lights on the bridge brightened slightly, showing more of the room. Dust floated everywhere, but under that dust were smooth panels, advanced controls, and deep silence. All main systems offline, Valkyr reported, internal damage minimal. Outer hull intact, weapons locked. Engines at 4% functionality, Rin whistled low, impressed. "You're in better shape than most new ships. I was built to last," Valkyr replied. "And I was ordered to wait until a human returned." Rin walked slowly around the bridge, running his fingers over buttons he didn't understand. "Why me?" he asked. "I'm not a captain, not a soldier. I'm just a scrapper. There are no other humans on record," Valkyr said. "You are the highest-ranking human available." That made Rin laugh. Then we're in real trouble. But something deep inside him felt different, like a heavy switch had flipped. He had spent his whole life being nothing, drifting through broken ships, searching for lost parts. Now he stood on a ship that once silenced entire armadas. It didn't feel real. But the cold under his boots and the sound of Valkyr's voice kept reminding him was. Suddenly, the floor shook. "Just a little, engines waking, Valkyr," said, power levels rising to 10%. Lights spread across the bridge, following a path. Rin followed them to the central command terminal, where a glowing panel opened. "Insert DNA verification," Valkyr instructed. He hesitated, then placed his hand on the pad, a soft prick, then warmth, then the sound of deep systems unlocking. "Verification confirmed," Valkyr said. "Welcome, Rin." Captain of the Vindicator, the title hit him like a punch to the chest. He had no crew, no fleet, no plan, but now he had a ship. And it wasn't just any ship, as Valkyr powered up more systems. Information appeared on the main screen. Ship schematics, old battle logs, mission files, all buried under layers of encryption. Some files were still locked. Marked eyes, only ears command. But Rin saw enough to understand. This ship was designed to fight whole fleets alone. It carried tech no other race had ever seen. And most importantly, it had never been destroyed. It had hidden, waiting, under orders from someone long gone. Rin looked at the main screen again. The stars outside sparkled like always, cold and quiet. But now, his presence here had changed everything. The signal Valkyr had sent out when she woke up it was still going, broadcasting the words, "Vindicator, active, human confirmed, far away, in other systems." Alien governments were listening. Ships began to move, alerts triggered. Warnings spread like fire. The name Vindicator was not forgotten. It was feared, hated, respected, and now it was back. Should I turn the signal off? Rin asked. Too late, Valkyr replied. We have been seen. What happens now? Now, we prepare. Rin swallowed hard, feeling the weight of the entire galaxy pressing down on his shoulders. But deep inside, a strange feeling was growing. Purpose. He had never belonged anywhere, never mattered to anyone, but this ship had waited 200 years. Just for a human like him, start the repairs, Rin said, voice stronger than before. Activate what you can, scan the nearby area, and tell me what we're dealing with. Affirmative, Valkyr replied, already working, panels lit. Up all over the ship and deep inside the hull, old machines started to move. Nanotech systems woke, crawling through circuits and cracks, fixing what was broken somewhere beneath the command deck. The engines rumbled to life, like a sleeping beast stretching its limbs after a long slumber. The Vindicator was not fully awake yet, but the universe would soon know was no longer dead. And wherever this warship went now, change would follow. On the glittering world of Keltar Prime, in the great spire of the Galactic Council, an alarm rang out. It was a deep, old-tone one that hadn't sounded in over 200 years. High above the clouds, alien leaders rushed into the council hall, their faces tight with worry. Every species had sent their strongest voice. From the insect-like Centauri to the towering Zarkothi, something old had awakened, and they all knew what it meant. "Bring it up," one barked. A hologram flickered to life in the center of the chamber. It showed a dark warship rising slowly from an asteroid field. Its name glowed across the whole HSS Vindicator. The room went silent. "No," whispered the Crevan diplomat, her skin turning pale. "That ship was lost," hissed a Centauri general. "We watched it vanish during the Orion uprising. The humans never said it was destroyed," the Zarkothi High Scholar said calmly. "They said it went dark." An elderly figure floated to the center, his white robes glowing softly. "Hi." Scholar Nemel, of the Zarkothi, the oldest council member, raised one clawed hand. "There was a reason we feared that ship," he said, voice slow and cold. "It ended wars by simply arriving." The young among them didn't understand. Some had never fought humans, had never seen what a human warship could do, but the old ones remembered. One Centauri admiral still had metal legs because of the last time he faced a Terran fleet, and this ship, this ghost, had been the worst of them all. "Where is it now?" A voice demanded. "Sector 19, near the dead rock belt," said the technician. "Pulling up coordinates, the ship is active, but hasn't fired. Who commands it?" The room paused again. A blurry image appeared, just a human male, wearing old clothes, face tired, no military tags, no ID match. The technician added, "A scavenger, maybe." "A scavenger has control of the Vindicator." The Archaea ambassador shrieked, "This is worse than war. We must destroy it before it leaves the field." The Centauri admiral shouted. Others nodded quickly. "If it reaches populated space, panic will spread. If humans see it again, they will rally. They will believe Earth is returning." High Scholar Nemel raised his hand again. "Or perhaps," he said slowly, "this is not an act of war." The room turned toward him. "It has not fired, it has not spoken. It has only broadcast its name. That's enough," growled a voice from the shadows. The Targon warlord stepped forward, his armor still scorched from old battles. "I remember that ship," he said, eyes glowing. "My father told me it passed through our system once. It said nothing, but..." The next day, 2 enemy fleets vanished. Silence returned. The Vindicator was not just metal, it was memory, power, and fear combined. And now it had a pilot, even if by accident. A pilot who could activate the systems, who could awaken what had slept. "Too long, send a strike team," the Centauri insisted. "Crush it before it becomes a symbol." "But what if we fail?" asked the Crevan. "If we fire and it responds, then we risk everything." A quiet voice came from the far corner. It was the youngest member, Ambassador Veli of the Rantari. Her people had no history with humans, but she had studied their records. "Perhaps we speak first," she said. "We ask this human what he wants before we assume war." The council muttered, divided, half wanted destruction, half wanted caution. But all agreed on one thing: this ship could not be ignored. The balance of power in the galaxy had shifted. And they hadn't even heard the ship's voice yet. "Hi." Scholar Nemel walked to the center and looked up at the hologram again. The Vindicator floated silently in space, cold and ancient, yet somehow alive. "I told them long ago," he said softly, "do not bury what you fear, or one day it will rise." And now it has. The council passed one order before the session ended. A fleet of ships would move to intercept. Not to destroy, at least not yet, but to monitor and, if needed, respond. And behind closed doors, some leaders whispered secret plans, just in case words failed. Back in Sector 19, the Vindicator continued to awaken. Its lights brighter, systems cleaner, engines warmer, inside. Rin stood before the growing hum of the ship's core. He didn't know what he had done, or what Storm, he had called, but the galaxy was already watching, already afraid, and the warship was not finished waking up. The Vindicator drifted slowly through the stars, glowing like a sleeping beast in the cold dark. Its hull was alive now, its engines humming low, and its systems slowly returning to full power. Inside the command bridge, Rin stood alone, staring at the screen filled with distant stars. He didn't feel like a captain, not yet, but the ship treated him like one, and somewhere inside him, he started believing it. "Valkyr," he said, "any news on who's listening to our signal?" Multiple responses detected, the AI replied calmly. At least 17 listening posts. 3 stealth ships and 1 approaching fleet. Rin blinked. "Fleet?" "Yes," Valkyr continued. "They are closing in on our position. Weapons hot, shields raised." Rin leaned against the console, heart racing. He wasn't trained for this. He wasn't even supposed to be here, but now he sat in the most dangerous seat in the galaxy. Options. He asked, "Defensive protocols are ready." Valkyr said, "No action will be taken unless fired upon." Outside, the alien fleet drew closer. 10 ships of various species, all heavily armed. All pointed at the Vindicator. They sent a message, short, cold, direct, power down all systems. Surrender control or be destroyed. Valkyr displayed the message on the screen, waiting for a reply. Rin felt his chest tighten. These weren't pirates. These were official military vessels. They saw him not as a person, but as a threat. He sat in silence for a moment, then spoke softly. "Send them a message, Valkyr. What message shall I transmit?" Rin stared at the glowing console, then said, "Tell them this ship is not a threat, but we will not surrender." Valkyr sent the message. The response came quickly, in the form of missile locks and charging cannons. "They're not going to wait," Rin whispered. Then the first shot came. A bright streak of plasma flew through space and struck the Vindicator's shields. The ship barely shook. "Minimal damage," Valkyr reported. "Shields at 98%. More fire came. A barrage of missiles, energy blasts, and disruptor beams. The Vindicator stayed still, quiet, almost bored. Her shields absorbed the hits, her armor untouched. "Shall I return fire?" Valkyr asked. Rin shook his head. "No, not yet." Then Valkyr acted, not with weapons, but with motion. The engines came alive, glowing blue-white. The massive warship slid sideways, then turned in a smooth arc. She danced between the attacks. Silent and majestic, missiles missed, beams passed by empty space. Rin gripped the edge of the control panel, shocked by how easily the ship moved. This isn't just a ship," he whispered. "It is a message," Valkyr replied. "A message that humans may be gone, but their fire still burns." The alien fleet hesitated. They had expected a fight or at least damage, but the Vindicator didn't fire a single shot. It simply dodged, absorbed, and endured. Then Valkyr played an old recording through open channels. It was the voice of Earth's last admiral. "Calm and proud, we are the light that refuses to die. We are the silence that speaks loudly. This ship carries no flag, but it remembers who we were. Approach with peace or be remembered only by history." The words echoed across the fleet. Some captains paused, stunned by the power in those simple lines. Others grew fearful, remembering tales from their ancestors, and slowly, ship by ship, the alien fleet backed off, weapons lowered, signals silenced on the Vindicator's bridge. Rin let out a shaky breath. "They're pulling away, Valkyr." "Confirmed, no ships destroyed, no weapons fired. You made your first contact." Rin laughed weakly. "First contact with a gun to my head." "Still successful," Valkyr said. "Minimal blood, outside." The alien fleet retreated, sending one final message. We will report this encounter to the Galactic Council. Await further communication." Then they vanished into the stars, leaving the Vindicator alone again. Rin sat down in the captain's chair and stared at the stars. "Is this what it's going to be like?" he asked, fear, silence, and diplomacy through memory. "Yes," Valkyr answered, "but also something else." "What's that?" "Hope," the AI replied, "because someone out there will see this ship and remember not the wars but the people behind it." Rin smiled faintly. For the first time, he didn't feel like a scavenger. He felt like a spark from something old, something human. And the universe had just heard the whisper of a ghost that refused to vanish. The ship was quiet again. No more warnings, no more threats. Just the low hum of the engines and the soft whisper of air flowing through old vents. Rin walked alone through the massive halls of the Vindicator, guided by lights that blinked on one by one as he moved. Valkyr had said the ship was large, but Rin hadn't understood what large truly meant until now. It wasn't just a war machine. It was a floating city. He passed through sealed doors, walked down silent corridors, and found chambers filled with untouched gear, training rooms, storage bays, medical stations, all perfectly preserved. It was like someone had hit pause 2 centuries ago, and time had frozen. The deeper he went, the more he felt like an intruder in a dream. But Valkyr kept guiding him, her voice calm and steady. "There is one place you have not seen, Captain," she said. "I believe now is the time." "Where?" Rin asked, turning a corner. "Cryo Bay 7, Valkyr replied. "Follow the green path." Lights on the floor turned green and led him toward the lower deck. As he stepped into Cryo Bay 7, he stopped cold. Hundreds of cryo-pods stood in perfect rows, each one glowing faintly. Inside each pod was a person frozen, still, silent human faces, asleep for centuries. "What is this?" Rin whispered, walking between the rows. "They are Earth's last soldiers," Valkyr said. "The final defense team from the Orion War, before Earth fell. They were placed in stasis. I was ordered to protect them until Earth's return, or until a human command was given." Rin's eyes scanned the podsmen. Women, some barely older than him. He stopped at one, a woman with short dark hair and a strong jawline. Her nameplate read, "Commander Alea Rourke." Valkyr spoke again, softer now. She was the commanding officer. She was the last to enter the cryo-chamber. She told me, "If anyone wakes up, wake me first." Rin touched the glass. It was cold, but inside, her chest rose and fell gently. She was still alive, still waiting. "Can you wake her?" he asked. "Yes," Valkyr replied, "but only her for now." Rin hesitated, then nodded. "Do it." The pod hissed, lights flashing, temperature shifting. He stepped back as the top opened slowly, mist pouring out like breath from a dragon's mouth. Alea gasped, her eyes flying open, body jerking with sudden life. She coughed hard, eyes adjusting to the dim light. Rin stepped forward and offered his hand. She looked at him, confused, then took it. "Where am I?" she asked, voice hoarse. "You're on the Vindicator," Rin said gently. "You're safe." She sat up, scanning the room quickly. "The others?" "Still sleeping," he replied. "But alive," she blinked, trying to take it all in. "Who are you?" "My name's Rin. I found the ship, or maybe it found me." Alea slowly stood, her legs shaking. "Status report," she said instinctively. "Earth?" Rin looked away, his voice low. "Gone." For a long time, Alea went quiet, her face still. Only her eyes showed the pain, all of it. She whispered. "I'm sorry," Rin said. "There are still humans scattered across the galaxy. But Earth is a graveyard." She looked up at him, stronger now. "Then we hold the last flame." Rin nodded. "You do?" Valkyr's voice returned. "Commander Alea, "Welcome back, AI Valkyr." She asked, surprised, "You are still functional?" "Yes, fully operational," Valkyr replied. "You were never alone." Alea's eyes softened slightly. "And you followed protocol all this time?" "Yes. Then we continue," she said firmly. "Rin, you woke us. You carry the legacy now." "I'm not a soldier," Rin said. "You don't have to be," Alea replied. "But you're a human. And that means something." They walked through the cryo bay together. Past rows of sleeping heroes. "We'll wake them slowly," Alea said. "Check systems. Gather information. Learn what this galaxy has become." Rin nodded, and then Alea stopped at the end of the row, turned, and looked at him. "Then we decide if we fight or just remind the galaxy that humanity is not forgotten outside the ship." The stars still watched, but inside the Vindicator, something stronger than weapons was waking. Memory, loyalty, and the spark of something long-buried hope. Days passed on the Vindicator. Though time felt different inside the massive warship, it was like living inside a forgotten legend, where every hallway echoed with the past. Cryo Bay 7 slowly came back to life. One pod at a time, Alea stood by each waking soldier, guiding them gently as they returned from centuries of sleep. Each one opened their eyes to a galaxy that no longer resembled the one they had known. There was confusion, grief, and shock, but also something else: discipline, unity, purpose to the things that had once made the human fleet strong. They learned quickly, adapted faster, even after 200 years. The fire in their hearts had not gone cold. Rin watched from the bridge as the crew retook the ship piece by piece. Engineering teams rebuilt the engines. Security teams reprogrammed defensive grids. Medical officers revived old labs and restocked supplies using hidden nanofactories. And Alea, she walked the halls like she'd never left, her voice bringing order where there had been only silence. "This is more than a ship now," Rin said to Valkyr. "This is a heartbeat." "Correct," Valkyr replied, "and the galaxy will hear it soon." But it didn't end there. The Vindicator began sending out encrypted messages on ancient human frequencies, not to the Galactic Council, not to governments, but to shadows. To the ones who had survived, scattered across space, hiding, waiting, hoping, across distant colonies, old bunkers and outlaw stations, the call was heard. Humans who had hidden their identity stood tall again. Some had been slaves, others outlaws. Some had children who had never even heard of Earth. But when they saw the signal, when they saw the Vindicator, they remembered. They knew what that ship meant. A new network was born. A whisper across space, the Ghost Fleet. Not made of shiny new ships, but of wrecks, scraps, and old machines rebuilt, reforged, reborn. Pilots joined. Quietly, crews formed, in secret. Ships that had once been forgotten lit up again under human hands. Rin didn't expect to lead anything. He still saw himself as a scavenger. But now he had a voice people listened to. His face had appeared on message boards, wanted lists, and inspiration posts. Some saw him as a threat, others as a symbol. He didn't feel like either, but Alea reminded him daily. "You gave us a second chance," she told him, "and now you'll help us protect it." More ships began arriving near Sector 19, old Earth destroyers, barely holding together. Rebuilt merchant ships with makeshift weapons, even alien vessels, stolen and modified by humans who had lived in the dark. They didn't form a perfect fleet, but they were real. The Galactic Council watched in silence. Their spies reported every ship, every signal. They didn't understand how this was happening. They had believed humans were broken, beaten, and scattered. But now, in the quiet dark of space, they saw the opposite. From the wreckage of history, a new force was rising. Not to conquer, not yet to fight, but to stand to remind the stars that humanity still had teeth. On the Vindicator's bridge, a new banner was hung behind the captain's chair. It was black, simple, and Old Dan Earth Fleet emblem, scratched and faded. Alea stood beside Rin, both watching the screen filled with ships. "They're not much," Rin said. "They're enough," she replied. "Status?" Alea asked Valkyr. "Ship systems at 84%, weapons fully operational, engines stable, Ghost Fleet vessels. Currently 41 ships in orbit, more en route." Alea nodded, then turned to Rin. "You said you weren't a soldier." She said, "I'm still not," he replied. "Good." She smiled, because this time, we need more than soldiers. We need hearts that remember why we fought in the first place. Below them, in the vast hangar, crews cheered as another old ship powered up. The symbol of Earth glowed faintly on its side, and in the distance, across the stars, more lights blinked to life. The galaxy hadn't seen the last of humanity. In fact, he was just beginning to see what they had become. The Ghost Fleet was no longer just a dream. It was real, alive, and growing. And the Vindicator was at its heart. Not just a ship, but a torch carried through time, and the stars would never forget its name again. The Vindicator hovered silently above the edge of galactic space. Its dark hull shined like obsidian, quiet and strong, surrounded by the scattered ships of the Ghost Fleet. It looked like a giant among children, but each ship, no matter how small, flew proudly beside it. And across the stars, a change had begun, one that no one could stop on the central bridge. Alea stood tall in her uniform, freshly cleaned, patched in places. But carrying the insignia of Earth's lost navy, Rin stood beside her, not in armor, not in command, but present. He had started this, and even now he struggled to believe what he was seeing. Valkyr's voice broke the silence, calm and steady. "As always, Galactic Council delegation has arrived. 6 diplomatic vessels, no weapons raised." Alea nodded once. "Bring them aboard. No security detail." Rin asked. She smiled faintly. "They're already walking into a ship that terrifies them. We don't need to scare them more." The diplomats entered through Docking Bay 1, stepping onto human steel for the first time in centuries. They were tall, short, scaled, feathered, and smooth-skinned from 6 different species. But every eye held caution. Every footstep was slow. The stories of the Vindicator still echoed in their bones. And now it stood before them, not broken, not buried, but alive. Alea met them without fanfare, without a guard, without weapons. "I am Commander Alea Rourke, Earth Navy," she said simply. The words froze the room for a moment. "Earth Navy no longer exists," said the lead diplomat. Alea's smile didn't fade. "It does now." They walked together through the tight ship's wide halls. The delegates glanced at walls marked by old battles. Still strong, past the cryo-pods, past the engineering decks, past the command center glowing with new life. Then Alea brought them to the large view window, where the Ghost Fleet drifted like a swarm of stars. "This is not an invasion," she said. "This is a reminder that Earth still breathes." One asked, "That humans still remember." She corrected, "Your council chose silence." "We chose survival. You fired no shots," said the Yarki ambassador, "but the galaxy shakes with your return." "Because fear runs deeper than memory," Alea replied, "and somewhere deep down, you knew we'd come back." Rin listened quietly as she spoke. Her voice carried pain and pride, loss and power. This wasn't about revenge, not yet. It was about standing tall after being buried for generations. It was about telling the stars, "We are still here." The delegates looked uneasy. One finally spoke. "What do you want?" Alea turned her gaze to the stars beyond the glass. "We want nothing," she said. "But if war returns, if genocide returns, if you dare erase another world the way you tried to erase ours, then the Ghost Fleet will come, and we won't. Come silently next time." There was a long pause. Then the Zarkathi delegate nodded. "You have made your message clear." He stepped forward and extended a long, clawed hand. "Then let us begin again, not with war, but with understanding." Alea took the hand. Rin exhaled softly, unsure if the moment meant peace or a pause before the storm, but he saw something new in Alea's eyes. Not just command, not just fire, but hope. Later that day, the image of the Vindicator standing with alien delegates spread across the galaxy, broadcast by both human survivors and alien channels. The story went viral across outlaw networks, fringe colonies, and quiet corners of space. A single message echoed louder than weapons. "We are still here." The Ghost Fleet did not invade. It did not conquer. But wherever humans had been forgotten, it arrived, and wherever old warships slept, they began to wake in dark hangars and hidden planets. Human tech flickered again. Children who had never seen Earth learned its name. Aliens who had fought humans now taught their young to respect them, and those who planned to erase humanity paused, because now they knew erasing was not enough. History remembered. The Vindicator had returned. And it brought with it more than fire. It brought belief, purpose, and the spark of something far older than war. On the bridge, as stars shifted around them, Rin looked at Alea and said, "So, what now?" She smiled. "Now we rebuild. And after that," she turned toward the stars, "then we light the way for those still lost." And so, on that quiet day, without a single weapon fired, the galaxy changed. Not through blood, but through memory, not by war, but by the return of a forgotten name, Vindicator. A ship that reminded the stars that humans may fall, but they never vanish.